Simple Man is keeping 6. This is a Blood and Taxes matchup versus Jeskai Welder Vault. Blood and Taxes being a red utilizing variant of Death and Taxes. Regavan being probably one of the better openers you can have, given that you are on red. The monkey is quite a lot of pressure, as well as mana acceleration, as well as, well, turn 1 Vault from Peru means that there is always the possibility of a combo out in sight. Any key effect, any of the walkers that can untap artifacts can potentially just hand him infinite turns, and from there it's pretty simple to kill an opponent when you are taking all of the turns in the game. Flipped land from Regavan is just exiled. Simple Man gets treasure. Has not made a land drop yet. Caracas. I mean, there is Urza, but if Peru is playing Urza, you probably don't want to bounce it because the constructs are very scary very quickly. So, Simple Man gets down the Harsh Mentor, which is a rough one for Time Vault. Even if you can get the combo off, every extra turn you're taking is potentially 2, very possibly 4 life or 4 damage coming at your face to do it. Just because you're probably activating something to untap the vault, and then you're activating the vault itself. So that is not an infinite turn combo, because you're potentially dead after not too many turns. Given that Peru is also on an Ancient Tomb, that damage is going to add up pretty quickly. Very aggressive start coming from Simple Man. The monkey hitting first, and then jamming multiple 2-power creatures on the second turn is a significant clock. Even with the 2/3 and the token to block, the aggression is probably not stopping anytime soon. And Simple Man has the option of just bouncing Kytheon with the Caracas, or letting it bite it against a block by the Apprentice, Bray's Apprentice. Presumably, if a swing out happens here, the Apprentice is going to block Regavan, and we might have a Thopter in front of Kytheon. But we'll have to see what Simple Man's draw looks like. Peru has already taken a bunch of damage and is not really set up to go off. So all Simple Man really needs to do is continue the pressure and make sure Harsh Mentor doesn't bite it. That would have been the only really likely out, is getting that off the table and then going off with Time Vault. So holding back Harsh Mentor makes sense. Blocking here is probably necessary, but it does make Bray's Apprentice look a lot worse without either the Thopter to sack to it, or potentially trading for a burn spell and a creature hit. But I think you're kind of obligated to do it at this point. White Plume. White Plume Adventurer is going to make sure the game doesn't take too long. The Undercity is a pretty fast clock, especially if you are already ahead on board. So the initiative has entered the game, and we're going to go get a basic, probably pass the turn, and start beating down with the 5/5 next turn. Adding in a visit to the trap, most likely, will mean Peru is going to be dead very soon if he's not able to navigate a way out of the pressure. I don't think there's any wrath effects in Peru's deck. I think it's basically all artifacts with activations, which look pretty bad in the face of Harsh Mentor, and a little bit of removal, which is probably the thing he'd like to see most. The walkers are mediocre at best right now. So we see Expedition map. I think the only really spicy lands that Peru is on would be something like Urza Saga, which is a little too slow at this point in the game. There's a Academy, Tolarian Academy, and then Academy Ruins. Those, again, not going to help a lot facing this down. Even Inventor's Fair with a little bit of life gain is pretty insignificant. And now that Harsh Mentor's a 4/4, that actually turns off a good portion of Peru's removal. Lightning Bolt is no longer getting that thing off the board. And, yeah, things are not looking great. But there's always possibilities. A third path, Iconoclast, and a string of artifacts with mana abilities could let him stall the board long enough to dig for a removal spell that would get Harsh Mentor out. Though Thalia is going to make that a lot more expensive to do. And no, Peru just scoops it up, which is fair. Okay, it looks like Symbol Man is going to keep 5. Peru kept 7 for this game, and I believe is on the play. So, hopefully Symbol Man found something good to do with those 5 cards. I imagine he would be digging for either the good fast mana or the best disruptive cards he can have against Peru's artifact concoction, the Jeskai Welder Vault. So, let's see how it goes. Urza's Bauble gets a peek at Symbol Man's 5 cards, checking one of them out. Gonna reveal number 5, Cavern of Souls. Symbol Man's deck is pretty heavy on humans. There's a Winota in there, so there's a pretty high density of humans in this red-white Taxes deck. Cavern's uncounterableness is not really relevant against Peru, but having to lock in one particular creature type that you can make colored mana for does mean that this land could be a little awkward. Symbol Man does have a fair amount of decent cards to mess with Peru's combos, and then some anti-tutoring stuff with Evan Mind Sensor, Lean and Arbiter. There's a little bit of non-basic hate with the Megas and the Blood Moon. Harsh Mentor, of course, is going to be fantastic. Facing down this Thopter Foundry, it would stop the continuous life gain and make the Thopters actually hurt to make rather than heal. But the only creature Symbol Man's got is just a 2/2 pro black, pro red, which is not nothing. The exile clause for getting red permanent or red cards out of the graveyard is something, but it's basically just a 2-2 in this matchup. I guess it is protected from a few of Peru's removal spells. Galvanic Blast, Lightning Bolt, Unholy Heat, can't hit it. But Peru's just going to make a 2-2 double striker, the Phyrexian Dragon Engine, and pass. I imagine he wants to close the game out sooner rather than later, so getting a bigger clock on the table is a reasonable way to do that. City on Traders on the other side there's no play. I don't believe there's any big powerful instance in Symbol Man's deck that he's like itching to flash out. And here we have our first Comet. Let's commence some dice rolling. We'll see what we get. Comet also notably cannot kill the pro-red creature, but he can sure make a lot of squirrels. Unfortunately, the die keeps going just out of camera, so can't really tell what the result is. Was that a 5? I think it might have been a 5. No, okay, it must have been a 1 or a 2, because that looks like 2 squirrels being represented. We get a Cathar Commando flashed out. I guess Peru passed with no attacks, was worried about something happening and wanted to play it safe. So protect Comet and hold out for now. The Cathar Commando is, a nice answer to Thopter Sword combo, or, something else that Peru might piece together, but by itself is not that threatening. It can't even attack into the double striker, or would it? I mean, even if the double striker was gone, trading with a squirrel does not look good. So it's basically just a disenchant sitting on board at the moment. Oh, we get some actual squirrel tokens. That's nice. Okay, we got an Adelaine, and it's a real clock. And a disenchant on the Urza Saga. That makes sense. Stopping that before it hits Chapter 2 is pretty important at this board state. I expect we're going to see Comet activate, maybe try and... Oh, Adelaine, yeah, Caracas. Caracas is a heck of a card, making those legendary permanents look a lot worse. And then we get a Portable Hole. Symbol Man's board is clear. Nothing left to block. We get a 3, I think. So Comet's going to fetch a card back from the graveyard. It'll be an Urza Saga. It looks like Symbol Man is scooped. All right, on to game 3. Okay, so Symbol Man has kept 6, Peru has kept 7. I imagine Symbol Man is on the play here. And has probably found something reasonable. Giver of Runes. Okay, so getting out something that can protect, probably the more relevant hate piece to be played on the following turn. Opens with a Plains, probably playing around a random Wasteland, which, never mind, it doesn't look like that's in Peru's deck, so maybe just wanting to keep white open for an upcoming moon effect. But now facing down Ragavan. If there is a follow-up play this turn, Ragavan's going to look a lot worse. Ooh, so we have Fetch into Mana Crypt into Adelaine, who is at minimum a 1/4, making Ragavan look a lot worse. We could see a swing from Giver of Runes here, just to make the soldier. Yep. Or I think it's a soldier. Is it a human or a soldier? It is... It's just a human. Humans coming in. Swing for 2. Peru takes. Adelaine is already a 3/4 Vigilance for 3. Going to be attacking for a fair bit more next turn. Most likely. Ragavan has no good attack here, but Peru does have a third path Iconoclast. So if there's any free artifacts to follow up, those will be some nice chump blockers, or potentially able to trade with things. Honestly, given the sports state, it might have been worth trading off the Ragavan for the Giver, because Adelaine's just going to keep getting bigger, and an unblockable Adelaine is a scary thing indeed. She's minimum going to be a 4-power attacker. That is assuming that Symbol Man plays nothing else this turn. Adelaine does not have to tap to attack. Okay, just coming in with the tokens and her. No need to make her unblockable at this point. Okay, Monkey chump blocks Adelaine. Gonna cash in the land for a card. Has a mana floating. Aether Vial. Lightning Bolt face. Oh, no, sorry. Lightning Bolt the Iconoclast. And then... Peru is probably staring down lethal in a second. Looking for anything. Anything at all. Alright, bottom. Did he find what he was looking for? Okay, we've got the Time Vault. So if he can make it to next turn and find something to untap the Time Vault, that could be enough. So Adelaine's going to be coming in for a minimum 5 this turn. And Peru's on no blockers. Doesn't really have any way to generate blockers. Okay, so we have 5 plus the tokens, so 8 coming in. We got a mid-combat Violin Esper to deal extra damage. Alright, does Peru have the untap effect? And if Peru does Symbol Man have the disenchant? 2 mana Brainstorm paying for Esper Sentinel. So if he can find a key and a mana source, that would potentially be enough. Even Voltaic, no, he's not on Voltaic Servant. Not that deep, but couldn't find it, and Symbol Man takes it down.